Poll. Hello? Okay, tell us when you start.
I'll do an introduction. We can do an introduction.
I'll do introduction.
You just sit there and be pretty.
It's called Israel Reality, the channel.
It's less important. Important is our names and what we discuss.
No, but also we want to say Israel Reality and sponsored by Kef. So it seems like we started. So hi everybody.
Hi everybody, good evening. You are on Israel Reality channel and it's sponsored by KEF. My name is Leonid Baratz.
Gilad Kumer.
Neil Kummer.
And today we'll discuss what's going on in Syria. So the news are very interesting and very dynamic. They change all the time. And I want to make a big intro who is who in Syrian conflict. So first we have SDF, Syrian Democratic Force, who are mostly contained from Kurds and Kurdistan, and they are by Turkey. And in condition of Syrian National Army, there is also organization called Hayat Tahrir Ash-Sham, and their leader is well known right now, Abu Muhammad al-Julani, who recently became one of the most charismatic rebels and leaders, and he gave some interviews to the Israeli channels, but then recently he started to be popular in Palestinian channels because he said that first they will came to Damascus and then they will came to Jerusalem. That's why Herzi Halevi, the leader of Israeli army and security forces, say that Israel will need to react. Right now, many Israelis received Tzav Shmone to it's how you call Tzav Shmone?
Yeah, it's a call up. Yeah,
call up to be prepared. So, what do you think about this?
Oh my God, this is so many things. Do you wanna spawn first? No. So yeah, I think a lot of Israelis are not. I don't know if some Israelis are even focused on what's happening now in Syria. Like we're just, I guess a lot of Israelis should kind of focus on the ceasefire with Lebanon, if there's really a ceasefire. And now it's hard to kind of live in Israel. You always have to follow. You always think something exciting is happening, and then something even more exciting is happening next door. But now I saw also the Shabbat, and also the last few days that the headlines have moved from the not ceasefire in Lebanon, and are moving to the main headlines are moving to the situation in Syria. I don't think many Israelis even understand the whole dynamic. Different groups that are working there. Who does America support? If they do support any groups, where are the rebels? Where are they moving to? My news that I rely on is pretty much on all these Telegram channels that give you all these live updates and where the rebels moving to, and what areas now are in their control, what areas are still in Assad's control. I saw these pictures from Khaleb that they already went into his house and his house in Khaleb, and they even found personal pictures of him, of Assad. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. So you want to kind of give us like a layout of mapping out all the different groups. Yeah.
You need to be very careful, especially with Telegram channels, and use only trustful sources, because I know that many Iranian media are also using Telegram channels. Mm-hmm. So basically the layout is like this. There are, as I already mentioned, SDF, who are backed by USA. They are mostly Kurds, and they are interested in the Rojava region. They want to establish Kurdish country, and they also use drones and modern weapons that they receive because of the USA. But President-elect Trump just say that USA is not directly involved in this, and they have not interest into supporting any of the groups. Okay. Also, there are HTS, and HTS already use Turkish drones, and some of them also some of the representatives of HTS say that they have nothing against Israel. They want to kick out Hezbollah, and they want to kick out Hamas presence in Syria, and they want to kick out Iran and Shiite powers. Also, Assad army retreated many of their positions, and I think we lost some of the cameras.
Dad, could you use...
It's all right. I just took my camera off.
Why?
It's
We are going live. I just want to remember and remind. So
Yeah, so
everything,
could you leave it on? Yeah, just
everything,
don't touch.
everything could happen during the live.
Yeah.
We're just testing our new format. So yes, they also want to fight with Iranian powers in the region, but Assad is not directly fighting with Hezbollah and Hamas, and he even asked for Iranian he even asked for Iranian and Russian support. Also, there are Israeli involvement in this, or at least some OSINTers from Telegram channels claim that it's Israeli. Some unknown airplanes just bombed warehouses of weapons and also warehouses with biological and chemical weapons. Neil, why do you think Israel need to do this? Because Israel's better option is just not to interact with Syria.
I have no clue.
It's very honest. No, but let's think about this. Right now, many people claim that Israel can make a direct attack against Syria. Why do Israel need it? I don't know, but some people say that maybe it will be used by Israel will use this opportunity to take more control on the Golan Heights. Do you think it makes reason or not?
Well, the question is, who are the people that are against the leaders of Syria? Are Al-Qaeda, all radical Islam, and I don't know, where does Turkey stand? I've heard that China is now, or radical Islam worldwide is involved, and eventually China. Like, it's a complicated situation. As Moti Godard put it, there are no good actors here. There are only bad and worse. So, as to your question about whether Israel should actively actively take over the Golan, which they already own?
No, Syrian parts of the Golan, because Golan is divided.
I don't think that's a real option. I didn't hear anybody, any analyst or any representative from the government or from the army speak about that. I don't think there's any interest now in rocking the boat or doing something that hasn't been done in ever. Or, yeah.
It's all new, so everything's on the table.
And for your opinion, Gilad, HTS can try to have our parts of Golan Heights. They want to make Syria great again.
Yeah, so I think a really important point is to understand that even the rebels here who want to take over Syria, they're not pro-Israel, obviously, and they did declare not long ago that they want to get to Jerusalem too, right?
Yes.
Is that one of the newest mentions? So even though we're Israelis can maybe maybe it's something good happening, Assad's going to fall, but doesn't mean the representative, like who's going to switch them. There's always a vacuum, right? And then terrorist groups, and we know this in the Middle East, if it's in Iraq, Iran, and always the vacuum. Historically, I think always comes out to be worse than the original, the original guy who was there in the first place. Because Syria and this war wasn't a big threat to Israel and didn't really do too much. There were some attacks from Syria and some drone attacks, but not too.
And all the weapons came in through Syria to Hezbollah.
Right. So it maybe now it'll be harder. Right. Maybe now it'll be harder to move weapons from Iran through Syria.
That's what Assad offered. He said, if Israel comes to his defense, then he'll make sure that Iran can't get weapons to Lebanon through Syria.
I don't believe him. And also, according to OSINTers, Bashar Assad is now not in Damascus. He's, by one version, in United Arab Emirates, or by second, in Tehran. So it depends. If Tehran gives him support, it means that they will just use it as a bigger base for their new proxies. And
is that an option with these rebels, and how they're
that
and the views?
Julani is like dark horse in this situation. Nobody know from where he appear. Nobody know what's his ideas, and also he waited for a good timing. Right now, there is not any other good leader for Palestinian people could be, because Abbas is very old. Nasrallah is dead, Sinwar is dead, so he can take this vacuum, and he can maybe show that Iran is not a good leader, but Al Qaeda could be a good leader for Palestine.
Wow, I didn't think about that. Yeah, it's not in the Israeli government interest, that's for sure.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of new. There's a lot of new information. A lot of questions going to come up with this. But how big of an influence do you think it's going to be? Do you really think that this Syria thing will influence Israel majorly, or just going to be a thing that kind of passes by? Assad will maybe fall, maybe not fall, and kind of it won't ship the boat.
From what I heard, Israeli army is actively prepared for the fall of Assad. That's why they bombed these warehouses with chemical and biological weapons, because it would be very bad if ISIS or even Iran will take over them. And also our recent attack, I don't remember if we discussed it with you, but our recent attack to Iran was obviously from the Syrian airspace. And also maybe this is one of the reasons why Russia didn't want actively to fight against the rebels, because they really didn't feel so secure in Syrian airspace. Maybe if they will control airspace of Syria, it will make more complicated our attacks against Iran, or maybe it will make.
If the rebels control the airspace of Syria,
yes,
but they don't have all those Russian anti.
They're there. No?
They're there.
They
but
capture some of them.
Yeah.
They capture some radars and they capture C-400s.
Yeah.
But what happens when you bomb stockloads of chemical and biological weapons? Doesn't that disperse them?
I don't know. I think that Israeli army and Israeli commandment used some knowledge. Maybe it was intelligence information and investigations that some of them kept deeply underground, and maybe they were stored properly. I don't know. I'm not a military expert. I just think that if Israeli army made it and claimed that they made it, because for many years Netanyahu and Olmert, they refused to admit that we are doing some attacks in Syria. It was also always some jokes about Polynesia or Micronesia,
unknown source. Unknown,
and then they claimed that they doing this preventively. So I think if it would be with the risk that they will disperse, they would not do it.
Yeah, it seems like nobody's shy since the beginning of the war. Nobody's shy, is like, especially from the Israeli government, where they're attacking and when. If in beforehand it was like you said, it was Polynesia or all these absurd claims. Now nobody's shy about saying that Israel attacked in Syria. There's even with this war, there was even ground forces in Syria, like elite units actually were in Syria. And it probably happens more often, but now they actually, the IDF. They published it themselves, but so maybe let's try to kind of map out all the different forces that in Syria today and who supports who. I think that's like an interesting
So basically the map is changing minute after minute. I can't even show right now the actual map because it will be outdated once I will download it. But Damascus is surrounded, and Damascus most likely fell to rebellions. Rebellions I meant by HTS, who is supported by Turks.
What does HTS stand for?
HTS, they want to build, it's actually funny, they claim that they want to build new world order on the Middle East, new Middle East. And it's funny because the only person who claimed from the UN that he's building new Middle East, it was Benjamin Netanyahu. That's why many Iranians already make these caricatures about Netanyahu with beard, looking like some Arab terrorists. I can say that definitely HTS, who are backed by Turks, will not be tolerating Kurdim and SDF who want to build Kurdish state or Kurdish autonomy. I also heard that Europe is evading for more than 1.5 million of refugees
Wow.
So it will raise Islamization of Western world, and for this I want to refer to Neil, because Neil is usually looking on this news and about radical Islam influence on Europe. What do you think about this new wave of refugees?
Well, I have more questions than answers, and the question is are everybody's borders open? People still not woken up about what the implications are of open borders? I don't know. I don't know who has open borders now. I know.
Well, but Europe is becoming more right wing, more.
Right.
That's
We
mainly
can
the
definitely say it.
Yeah.
Even in Romania was recently elections that was cancelled by the Supreme Court,
Yeah.
because one of the candidates said that he want to make Romanian migrants free. Sorry for interrupting.
It just seems like that's the kind of things. Like one of the biggest things in Europe today is like really around immigration, and that's what's kind of choosing where the parties are going. Like if people are going more of this or more of that. Yeah.
So, and what happens to these people if we know what happens when they go into European countries. We know what happens, at least according to Trump, when they go to America. And by the way, I think that America has by far the largest prison, more people in prison than many small nations. I think it's like 1 million people, and I think it's quite a large group of them that are Muslims, and probably not peaceful Muslims.
Yeah, they say that terror has no faith and nationality, but it
Right.
seems that it has.
Why do you say that?
We recently saw some terroristic attack against Jews in Melbourne, Australia, which is far away from Europe. And people who make these terroristic attacks was, let's say, fans of radical Islam slogans and credos.
But that's anti-nationalistic. No, in other words, they want one nation. The Islam. The general principle is not only to take over or take back any nation that's ever been under Islamic control historically, like Spain and Vienna and Israel, but the whole world. They want the whole world under Islamic domination. So that's kind of beyond nationality. That's
And also in every country where it was in Europe or other Western countries, in Australia or New Zealand or United States of America or Canada, they always went with the Palestinian flags and some flags of terroristic organizations, but never with the flags of the country where they are living when they found refuge or where they are making money. But Israelis or pro-Israeli meetings, they always have the flags of Israel and flags of the country where it's happened.
It's crazy.
Which also can lead us to the idea that Israel could be the country for all nations, could be the country for many Muslim members, and
It's not big enough. Yeah.
Well, we have already. I mean, we live in Tel Piot. We're broadcasting here from Tel Piot in Jerusalem, and within a mile of here, we have 4 large, extensive Arab communities, and until the war began, we would hear the muezzins, the Islamic call to prayer at 4 a.m. every morning. Now they've muffled it, but there's still, freedom of religion in Israel. Unlike freedom of religion, the lack of freedom of religion in all the Muslim states.
I didn't know that till the recent time it was prohibited to build a synagogue in United Arab Emirates.
Really?
So even after Abraham Accords, it was, of course, prayings and learnings of Torah, but it was in some sort of cultural centers or business centers. And with the killing of Rabbi Tzvi Kogan, then may his memory be blessed, only after this, United Arab Emirates allowed to build synagogues.
Yeah, they wake up after the fact.
Even on official press releases, it wasn't stated that he was Israeli. He was a Chabad emissary, but he was like Moldova citizen. And another point that in Israel is very welcoming all of the religions, it's the Druses are still here fighting in Israeli army.
Right.
And it's interesting that Druze, by their religions, which is actually very secret religion, they need to support the country where they are living.
Yeah.
But in Syria, they didn't support neither Assad or rebels.
Really? Huh.
And
I know there are Druze that do support Syria on the border, like Majd al-Sham's on the side of the border.
Yes, but it's our part of the border, not those part of the border. But it's interesting that slowly, Israeli channels and influencers are pushing the idea of Israel creating a buffer zone in southern Syria, and maybe it will be also in Druze majority Suvaida province.
What?
There in Syria, there is a province called Suvaida, and the majority of population there is Druze. So maybe they didn't support any actions because they are waiting for Israel create buffer zone.
So the Druze and what's it called? That Assad is an Alawist, right? Have something in common. They both believe in reincarnation, whereas as far as I know, the Shias and the Sunnis, standard issue, do not believe in that. And the Druze, Moti Gidar said just this evening or 20 hours ago that the Alawites are considered to be more than marginal, extremely unacceptable, both because I'm just guessing, because of the reincarnation business, which, by the way, a lot of Jews also have as part of their belief system, but also because apparently they have images in some of their places of worship. But that could be like just a once in a while occurrence. I mean, even in some of the Jewish synagogues, they have images of animals and birds and things like that, which is literally prohibited in the Jewish Bible.
Maybe Assad want to keep part of his territories. I don't know what the latest news. Maybe Gilad will tell us.
So the latest news is just now. So unconfirmed reports: the SDF and Israel have had began negotiations. The SDF aligned with Bashar al-Assad against the Syrian National Army and its allies. That's pretty wow. That's unheard of, I guess, right? We never heard that. But proposed enhancing a new constitution and agreed to hold talks with the political opposition. This is Bloomberg.
So it's a very respected source. We can really believe that it's
Yes.
So can you explain that to me in simple terms? Again, who are the SDF and what's their typical...
SDF is the Kurds who are backed by Americans, and they backed by Americans for more than 10 years already. They fight ISIS and they help Americans fight ISIS. Israel, before this day, Israel, by rumors, support SDF and provide them some drones and some other system. Also, part of the people say that HTF, who are also Turks and Turkish proxy, let's say, in Syria, they receive help not only from Turkey, but also from Ukraine.
Wait, SDF are backed by Turkey?
SDF is backed by Americans, and HTF is backed by Turkey.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So right now we can see the new, let's say, actors of this, because some people say that Ukrainians are also helping Turks because they have their own idea. They want to burn to the ground Russian military bases in Syria, and the first country who helped Ukraine against the invasion, it was Turkey. It provided Bayraktar drone to Ukrainians, which became one of the symbols of the Ukrainian war in the beginning. So maybe now Ukrainians paying this debt and help Turks, and SDF is probably working closer with Israel, maybe not with the Israeli army, but maybe with Druze that of course have their own
Yeah.
regime.
This seems like it's the beginning of something bigger. With
And-
all this alignments and all these declarations that Israel is supporting the SDF.
It's also very funny that Donald Trump just say that not just, but earlier today say that America is not supporting anyone, that America is America first, basically.
Right.
Trump's normal slogan.
Yeah.
But rumors and media say that President Assad made a proposition to US in which he could help cut Iran and Hezbollah in exchange for keeping power in Syria. And maybe Trump will be not against this idea because Assad, who he know for many years, is much better and preferable than Giuliani or what's his
Right,
name?
you know, you prefer the person, what's that sentence?
Familiar evil, something like this. Devil that you know.
The devil that you know, then, yeah.
What do you think about this, Neil?
I'm speechless. It's a big hullabaloo, and I really have no clue as to who's. I mean, I know we would prefer that the Kurds and the SDF reign victorious.
No, but between the how do you say it?
HTF?
HTF and Assad. I think Assad is like maybe even a better shot here because he's kind of weak. He's not kind of weak. He is weak. He didn't show any real danger to Israel, right?
But being weak is also mean being desperate, and desperate can hit you to many other positions. Maybe it's his bluff. Maybe he's right now in Tehran and he's bluffing and playing with us.
So much new information. Yeah,
This is how to make live, This is why it's cool to make live videos because news are
it's
falling
right.
and falling and falling. Every map that we can take a look now, it will be outdated in like 1 minute.
Right. It's more fun, I think, doing a live stream and looking at news on the same time.
I would like a bit of a diagram, not necessarily a geographical one, but just to say who's on whose side, and that so that we know that the Turks hate the Kurds. They had a sort of genocide, a real genocide, not a fake genocide like the world accuses Israel of, a real genocide in about 1910 of the Armenians. The Armenians are, I guess, are the same as the Kurds, and they remain. And I guess they speak. What do they speak? They speak Armenian, which is like I don't know. Anyways,
I can also say that I've been once on Hapoel Yerushalayim soccer game, and the fans of Hapoel, they make. It was something like a year ago, so it's not the modern.
Before the 7th of October?
Much before the 7th of October, much before the Syrian events. They had a big Kurdish flag, so maybe Israel has something with Kurds.
Israel is now I think in the sense of just supporting everybody who's against Turkey. Yeah.
And also it's very interesting because many people think that Turkey, they have their own interests. They want to cut the Iranian trade ways. They want to be the only control power. But some people say that Erdogan, he want to restore Ottoman Empire. So Jordan, Syria, Israel is also part of his strategic interest. And also interesting, how is it connected with the idea of President Trump, who want to cut all of the wars, and even now he came with Elon Musk to Paris.
I'm just looking at that right now.
He met with President Zelensky, so it's also a very interesting thing. What do you think will be and how it's?
Yeah, so it seemed like the second he got it, it was kind of right. He was officially elected, so there was all those videos online saying you see, look, he only got elected, and all these wars are already Hamas says they want a ceasefire. Putin says he'll speak about the end of the war. What other wars were that's pretty much it. But on the big major wars, but it seemed like everything, the stock market was going up, so maybe he'll give a good momentum. Maybe people are kind of sick of these long wars. We never had somebody as Israeli who was born and raised here 29 years. We don't know no, we never dealt with anything like this. It was always pretty much short wars. The biggest thing, like protective edge. That was like my biggest memory of me growing up. That was like 50 days, and that seemed long back then.
And they never been like this live, so you can really see the war live right now.
Right, and Telegram and everything. Yeah, it's been an insane time.
We had how long did the Intifada last? The
So,
first and the second Intifada?
I want to show one thing.
Yeah.
I remember that I told that all of the maps could be outdated, but it's
Right.
interesting thing. So the map of Syria is mostly in the media is looking like this. I don't know if you can see it or no. I can
Here.
make it maybe closer.
Yeah, there
Here,
you go.
you can see on this camera.
Closer. Yeah, a little bit higher.
No, maybe on
That's
this.
good.
Okay, so just for you to know, I will show you guys, and you will believe me that I'm. Oh, now I can see it.
Yeah.
So it's green,
It's
red,
went
and
down.
yellow.
Uh-huh.
In which green, I suppose, is. Let me check. Who is who?
You can see the real time over here.
I don't know who is who, but anyway, I know that yellow is SDF. I know that yellow is Kurdish forces.
Can you hold it closer?
Yep.
A little bit closer.
Kurdish forces backed by America, and with whom, accordingly to rumors, Israel is trying to negotiate. So now we can open this picture of President Trump meeting President Zelensky.
Here, you can see on this screen. You
Yeah.
can see, here.
And you know, President Trump, he's almost always wear the red tie. You know it, right?
Yeah.
So
And now he's wearing a
he's
yellow
wearing
tie.
yellow tie, which is like the colors of SDF. Maybe it's a conspiracy, but I find it's like
No, but it's
very
also Ukraine,
interesting.
no?
Ukraine is blue and white, blue and yellow.
Right, but when I think about Ukraine and say yellow tie, I can get association to that, no? When you say yellow tie, what do you think about? Do you think about Ukraine?
Bring the hostages home.
Oh, or maybe bring the hostages home.
Oh, yeah, that's a
because
good point.
can you remind us the quote of Donald Trump, what he said about the hostages?
Yeah, he says if by the time he's elected, the hostages are not out and back at their homes, they'll be all held to pay.
Wow, it sounds cool. What do you think will be? What do you think?
Do you think he'll stand up to his word?
I would hope so, but I'm desperately afraid that whenever we do a hostage deal, Israel releases, like for every Israeli hostage that comes back, Israel releases many. In one case, we released 1,000 convicted or ready to be convicted terrorists with blood on their hands, which, like Sinwar, was one of the people who was released with Gilad Shalit. 1,000 people out of the Israeli jails released. And that's just a recipe for a much...
And one of them was Yahya Sinwar.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what I said, yeah.
That's right. Who had been in prison for 20-odd years and had perfect Hebrew and had a benign brain tumor operated on.
Right.
His life saved.
Do you know what his quote was there? I remember his quote. He said when he got out of the surgery and the Israeli surgeon saved his life, I think here in Jerusalem, I think it was in Hadassah.
Yeah.
Here in Jerusalem, they said, after we saved his life, he said, yeah, I want to like kill all the Israelis and eat their intestines or something. That's like that's his first words after he got out of the surgery, after we saved his life, and then returned him to Gaza.
So I'm not a big fan of, I would love to have the hostages home, but I don't think it's in our interest to release terrorists. And,
Because every one of them could be mastermind of future organization against Israel or against Europe.
But I guess it's also a question if we're like being really thinking about like in a strategic way. I guess it also depends what kind of terrorist. No, because if it's a terrorist like Sinwar, obviously not. But if it's
Sinwar's blood on his hands.
No, I'm saying, but if it's releasing hostages, that's like one of our goals of the war and one of the goals of the Israeli people and Judaism. If it's releasing people who. No, I don't know. Pawns. Maybe it is worth. I don't know. Like I'm thinking out loud. Yeah.
Crazy story when the terrorist woman were returned to the same house where she killed the person, and the person who was witness and justified against her in the court also lived in this building.
Wow.
And
that's crazy.
Yeah, and also Sinwar was not the blood that he had on his hands was not of Israelis or Jews. He was convicted for killing people that he thought were Palestinian collaborators with the Israeli cause. So he was killing other Arabs, which is...
No, but I think he did have blood on his hands also of Israelis before, no?
No, apparently not.
Also, I remember these terrible videos how Hamas interrogate or torture people who Hamas believe were traitors. And it's very hard pictures, very hard video that Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Israel put online. They rarely do it because it's also against Judaism, but they put it just to be sure that the world know they are not freedom fighters. They are not care about Palestinian rights. They are actually the main persons who violate Palestinian rights. You want to say something, I say?
Just a small short notice. Terrible news. Seren Avraham ben Pinchas was just murdered now from Nuntet and Rafiach. So Nuntet is like anti-tank missile. So just Zichrono Levarcha.
May his memory will be blessed, and may the Almighty.
That's the newest
revenge for his blood.
Yeah, so that's also still going on. They say that even at the beginning of war, people like they take out Hamas and like really kind of have full control. I don't know full control, but it can take a few years. You can see after everything what happened in Gaza and it's all the ruins and everything, it's still Hamas. They're still managing to attack, still managing to kill soldiers. So that's another topic. That where do you think the war in Syria and everything what's happening now, the new dynamic, you think that can influence also the situation in Gaza?
I believe so. So it's very possible that all of these HTF rebels, or not all of them, but big part of them, can become the new, let's say, freedom fighters for Palestinians, because, as I mentioned, Erdogan wants to restore his control, and he can back them against Israel, because we already see many unfriendly signs from Erdogan. And also need to remember that, for example, Hamas, they wasn't Shiite. Hamas was Sunni. And yet they do big attacks against Israel. And Iran...
The radical is radical, right?
Iran is not the main power in the region who hates Israel. There is also Qatar, there are also Egypt. Nobody talk about Egypt. Egypt slowly raised their
navy. Yeah, did you see that? Everything that Egypt's spending a lot of money, and they just bought a few like fancy new tank missiles, ship, these fancy ships, missile ships, and their navy is really becoming more powerful, and a lot of conspiracies why that's happening now. The Muslim, the Muslim Brothers, that's how you said it in English, the Muslim
Brotherhood,
the Muslim Brotherhood. Maybe Sisi, maybe what happens with the Arab world, that people get motivation. Maybe they'll see what's happening in Syria. Maybe that'll happen.
Also, for the first time since the 1968. I believe they made the common military trainings on the Navy and on the sea with Russia. And they're not only one, they are cooperation with Russia. Now they are playing the peaceful atom card. I don't know how to call it correctly in English. It's like Atom Ezrachi.
Atom, like
for civilians.
Yeah, like an atom nuclear plant for civilian purposes, right?
Which makes them also dependent on Russia, because Russia is producing and Russia is giving them technologies. Right. Yeah. And we need to remember that Iranian nuclear program started from this, and also one of the idea of negotiation with Saudi Arabia was also including that U.S. should allow Saudi Arabia to build a nuclear plant.
Let's see if Trump understands what a mess he's going into.
As if they have any interest. I mean, their whole economies, all the so-called, wealthy Arab countries are oil-based economies. Like, what possible interest do they have in creating nuclear power? That would destroy their economies.
Yeah, I know like the Emirates and Qatar, they are working on other projects, and also Saudi Arabia to enhance their economy, that they won't be only reliant on
Yeah, but while United Arab Emirates are doing this based on startups, sort of
Technology,
as Saudi
right.
Arabia, they
Yeah.
want to rebuild their tourist sphere. That's why they.
that wall. What's you know that project? What's it called? The wall.
I need to Google it.
It's like one of the biggest like one of the biggest projects on the planet. What's it called? It's like that ecosystem.
But just to speak for a moment, like
Yeah.
you raised the question of Egypt
Hmm.
and the untold, like Douglas Murray did an interview with somebody who was saying, that we've landlocked Gaza, and it's an open air prison, and he said, "But do you not realize that they have a border with Egypt? And in fact, that's the border through which 99.9% of the weaponry came to fight this war, and Egypt is pretending to have a cold peace agreement with Israel."
Right.
That's why we are still, as Israel, keeping Philadelphia, because the main source of not only weapon but drugs to Hamas was through this border, and some people, again, this is conspiracy, say that probably our hostages even not in Gaza anymore, they could be in Iran or anywhere else,
Right.
because they could be smuggled
wow.
through
You know,
Egypt.
that's the first time anybody ever told me that. That you can smuggle, technically, if they smuggled everything through Rafah, so they can also smuggle the hostages, and maybe they're not even there. But I think like the Israeli intelligence will, I don't know, maybe not. But
Israel intelligence are very good. Israel intelligence, I believe in them, and
Except for October 7th.
no, actually, in fact, they warn people, and I recently saw some science paper from Tel Aviv University that even some people, according to seismography, they see the preparation by tunnels, and not only by tunnels, just nobody put attention.
It could be it's good intelligence and bad decision making.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
So maybe that's like,
we can also see this with the case of Feinstein, where he became the personal enemy of military intelligence just because he provided the document for Israeli Prime Minister. And I've been in shock. I didn't realize that Israeli Prime Minister didn't have all the intelligence information. They decide what should be provided to him and what's not.
Yeah, it's pretty weird that they can classify like what they want.
Really?
It's not that we
I
have
don't know, if
the
you think-
country for the army. We have the army for the country.
Who knows like how it works? Like unless you like were there personally, I guess we'll never know exactly how it.
We will. I think we will know. And that's the claim, is that one of the conspiracy claims is that the military and intelligence were divided off from Netanyahu and didn't notify him. But that being said, it still would have behooved Netanyahu to rid himself of what's called where they all believed a certain, they all were subscribed to the illusion that the people in Gaza wanted what Qatar they thought wanted, which is a nice bourgeois life. And
Right.
The idea of mowing the lawn, also that it's a bourgeois mowing the lawn, but also that if we give them enough money, if we give them 30,000 jobs every day, allow 30,000 people to work there, Vivian Silver and all the people from the far left who brought in the people from Gaza and had all these peace initiatives and who were slaughtered mercilessly by them. So I've lost my train of thought. The bottom,
We get it.
You just been in Berry, I suppose.
Yeah, so I was a month and a half ago about in Be'eri with this amazing lady. I don't think I'm gonna give out her name, but she was
she's well known, Vivian Silver.
No, I'm saying the lady who did the tour for me. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was with reporters with the Globe and Mail, and we were at Vivian Silver's house, and also beforehand we actually interviewed her son. And you would think that maybe his son, maybe like he would change his opinions, and but he just became even more far left. But I don't want to judge him or maybe even like talk about too much, because really that was his mom's legacy, and he probably kind of feels like he wants to continue her legacy. So I just want to say this: so in her house, it was pretty crazy. So we went to see all these burnt houses in Berry. It's really first time I ever been there. I don't know if you know.
I never been there.
Yeah. So the first association that comes to my head is you really think about like the camps and the Holocaust. Like I kind of have like a deja vu to like my trip in Poland. You know, when you get to 12th grade here in Israel, so you go to your trip in Poland, and that was like the first thing that came to my mind. And we're in Israel. There's a beautiful kibbutz, beautiful area, and the first thing comes to my mind is Poland and all the burnt artifacts and the houses. And it was so two things were crazy that day. We were on the way to see Vivian Silver's house, and on the way, this guy stops on his buggy, kind of, says, "Oh, look what I found today." And he finds, maybe I'll upload, here I can find the picture. He uploads a knife, a handmade knife of Nukhba, the Nukhba forces. And I said, "What do you mean, like you found it? Well, it's already, we're like a year to 7th of October." He says, "Yeah, I just found it now in the bushes." Like, well, how does that happen? Like, how did, like, you know, the army went through different forces, whatever. How is there things still? Yeah, there's still things. If you walk around Be'eri, it could be there's still things until today. Probably there's still things around the bushes, and you just see the force and what that army Hamas came and what morality. That there's literally still artifacts and still weapons, and so now I'm going to jump to the second really crazy thing that day. So we were in Vivian Silver's house, and it wasn't burnt, like it wasn't like just like a minor burn. It was like burnt to
completely.
They could only identify her months later through DNA. There was no recognizable body there.
Yeah, and it was really insane for me to see, and really the first association. And when I was there was a Bible open, and we didn't touch it. Like we just got to the house, and there was a Bible open, and it was on Yoshua, on a few chapters in Yoshua, Yud Aleph, Yud Bet, Yud Gimel, and I was talking, and this is at the beginning of the Lebanon War, also in Israel, like the serious rise.
11, 12, and 13.
Yeah, 11, 12, and 13.
Yeshua,
Joshua. Yeah.
Is that a book?
Yeah,
It's a book of prophet, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Shoftim in Shoftim, and
Judges.
Yeah, and there was opened on the chapters of the war, that kind of all the Emori, Amaleki, Chiti, they all come, all the nations come, and they try to take down Israel. And the people of Israel, and what happens in the end? Joshua, who's the Sar Tzava, Joshua, who's he's
the military leader.
Yeah, military leader, and like the head of the tribe now. After Moshe is on the other side of the Jordan, Moses, and they get all the way to Tzidon. So they not only like defeat all the nations who come on them, they also get into their kingdom. So that was pretty wild. Let me try to look for the picture.
Tzidon is up in Lebanon.
Yes. Here's the here we can do it this way.
You can just hold it up to your camera. Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, this is the best camera, I think.
Oh, this is the best camera?
Yeah.
So how do you do it? I can't.
Just wait for it. Just you can see it, but you will not see it on the screen because we have some latency. Yeah, now you can see.
So this is a knife. Oh.
Uh-huh.
And let's look at the Bible picture. Here, this is the Bible.
So you're talking about bring it closer, a little bit closer.
I think that's a delay. Now it's showing the knife.
Yeah, it's a huge delay, but still.
Yeah. So
There's an article.
No. You can put.
no, but now we'll see it. If you see,
Yeah.
now we'll see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the Bible that we found. That was pretty crazy.
No, you need to put it closer because it's.
See, yeah.
Okay.
And talking about drugs coming in through Rafiah, there was an article in a recent New Yorker about Syria and Jordan bringing manufacturing in Syria, manufacturing something called Captalon, which is a form of methamphetamine. And it's the drug that the terrorists that came in on October 7th, invading Israel, were on. Just like the Nazis also, they
Right.
a lot of methamphetamines to hype themselves up. So they were having a great time. It was, murder, rape, beheading. It was all.
Yeah, this is the religion.
It was religion and drugs together. Manson style murder on an epic scale.
So I want to come back to the topic of hostages because I think that the hostages is one of the main problems that we have right now in Israel. Every Motzei Shabbat, every end of Saturday, Hamas is doing their psychological terror. They want to have people protesting. That's why they are publishing new and new video of new and new hostages. Nobody knows, by the way, if this video are fresh or they were prepared before, because we don't know yet how many hostages are still alive. By optimistic forecast, it's like 50, but less optimistic, it's less than 20.
Yeah, but every video also, it depends what they say in the video, like what the content is. Because if they say something that's relevant now, then you know.
It's always the same. It's like go to the protests, demand the deal. It's very hard to realize if it's fresh, if it's not fresh. And recently, Hamas, through Reuters, warned that we know that Israel want to do some operation to release the hostages. We warn you, if you will do this attempt, we will
kill them.
They say neutralize. They didn't say kill. They say neutralize, as they are terrorists, but they are still hostages. And recently, Israeli army succeed, and they found the body of one guy who before
one of the hostages.
Just before had been on a film. Yeah. That's a controversial thing in Israel. The whole question of hostages, whether.
But let's believe that Donald Trump will fulfill his promise.
I wish.
And I want to end on another interesting fact. I just did some search with the using of artificial intelligence. Needed to mention that it's not generic artificial intelligence, that it's artificial intelligence that doing search by many websites. And I found a very rare thing on 7 different not connected websites and created small version of biography of this charismatic leader, Abdul Mohammed al-Julani, who is leader of HTS, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. And right now he is the most influenced Islamic leader in the world. So maybe Palestinians will follow him. And the thing that he's fighting Iran, it may be not a good sign, because maybe he wants to be a new leader and he doesn't want Iran monopolize it. So let's start from this. According to what I found, al-Julani is born in 1982 in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. In the family, refugees from Golan Heights that been captured by Israel in 1967.
His family's from there?
His family is from Golan Heights.
Wow.
In 1989, his family returned to Syria, and he grew up in Damascus. His teenage years were influenced because of the Second Palestinian Intifada.
So he has a lot of
which make him more radicalized.
Right.
In 2003, he moved to Iraq to join Al-Qaeda. He very quickly climbed up on the career ladder, let's say like this.
Yeah.
And he denied that he was connected with the organization or with leader of Al-Qaeda, Abu Musab al-Zarqawi. But if I remember correctly, if I recall correctly, Al-Qaeda was also the organization of Osama bin Laden, who was also Saudi. In 2006, he was very admire American military operations, and he was in different jails, which also include Abu Ghraib and Camp Bucca.
Where were those?
I believe that it's Iraq military jails. And after his exit from these jails, he became a key figure in Syrian branch of Al-Qaeda, Jabhat al-Nusra. And in 2016, he decided that he will go further from Al-Qaeda and announce Hayat Tahrir al-Sham.
Further, you mean like open his own organization?
Yes.
Yeah.
This decision, according to media, was because he wanted to remove the image of global jihadist and make a positioning, branding of HTS only like national Syrian power. And who knows? Maybe he didn't stop to being this jihadist. Maybe he's still a religious fanatic.
This sounds like pretty bad news. Like just hearing his biography that he originally from Golan Heights. He was impacted by the Second Intifada. He seems like he has a lot of motivation, right? He's like branched out from Al Qaeda, opened his own organization. That seems like somebody with a lot of motivation.
And maybe the Syrian refugees that coming to Europe, maybe they can be agents of this organization because we really saw many Hezbollah and Hamas agents in Europe. So on this note, we left our viewers with positive thoughts. And we thank you, all of you, for watching us tonight live, or when you will watch it in recorder. With you been Gilad, Neil, and Leonid. We are Israel Reality. Thank you so much.
Sponsored by KEF. And by the way, this is my father, if anybody didn't get that. This is great. Super interesting. Hopefully it'll be better news next time.
We always pray for better news. And
all the hostages that get out and the end of the war. Yeah.
All wars.
All wars.
Also Ukrainian, also Syrian. As Israeli, I don't want Syrian people to suffer.
Right.
Thank you for being with us. And
thank you, and good night here from Jerusalem.
Okay.
Woohoo!